All right, all right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Valoyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shuab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, as it says, all right, trouble coming back around for you Jakes, but more intense, all right. And this is going based off of an article, all right, that I came across, which I'll read in a second. I'm going to read these scriptures real quick. This is Isaiah 28, all right, and I'm going to grab it from the NLT, okay. And it says, let's grab it from 28 and let's grab it from 16. It says, therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord Yahweh says. Look, I am placing a foundation stone, Salakia, 14, verse 14. Therefore, listen to this message from the Lord Yahweh, you scoffing rulers in Jerusalem. You boast, we have struck a bargain to cheat death and have made a deal to dodge the grave. The coming destruction can never touch us, for we have built a strong refuge made of lies and deception. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Look, I am placing a foundation, foundation stone in Jerusalem, a firm and tested stone. It is a precious cornerstone that is safe to build on. Whoever believes need never be shaken. All right, and that's speaking of Yahweh Shai. I will test you with the measuring line of justice and the plumb line of righteousness. Since your refuge is made of lies, a hailstorm will knock it down. Since it is made of deception, a flood will sweep it away. I will cancel the bargain you made to cheat death, and I will overturn your deal to dodge the grave. When the terrible enemy sweeps through, you will be trampled into the ground. Again and again, that flood will come, morning after morning, day and night, until you are carried away. This message will bring terror to your people. You see? And what I want to go into is this quick article. All right. It says Trump set to expand immigration crackdown in 2026, despite brewing backlash. Okay. So you have this devil that wants to go even harder, all right, against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in 2026, going into this immigration crackdown, all right? And they were already showing you, you know, how they were coming at you in 2025, okay? But now they're going to come even harder, as the scriptures, as the scriptures say, all right, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, okay? So let me read a little bit of it. And it says, give me 1 second, it's loading up. It says, Trump set to expand immigration crackdown in 2026 despite brewing backlash. All right, and they show you in the cut, they're showing you a couple of pictures. All right, man breaking a window. You know, you saw a lot of that. Okay, you saw a lot of them, just these vanilla ice cream ages, right? They were just grabbing people's cars and breaking windows and snatch them out. Okay, you got another one down here, which I don't know what the hell that's about. Look like a guy in a damn wheelchair. All right, you got a couple more pictures right here. Okay, they're showing you one there. They're showing you one here, and this one was heavy because this one, it looks like just two poor people waiting at a bus stop, and you see that a lot in our towns, especially like my town. I always see a lot of poor Jake just sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus, all right? And, you know, there's going to be a heavy crackdown on those that are poor and homeless. You see, that's that flood coming upon them. All right, because of them being ignorant to the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Right? You've seen a lot of people running away. All right, but let's go. It says Washington, D.C. return 21, December 21 returns, right? Oh, Salakia. Reuters, right? It says U.S. President DT is preparing for a more aggressive immigration crackdown in 2026 with billions in new funding, and including by raiding more workplaces, even as backlash builds ahead of next year's midterm elections. Trump has already surged immigration agents into major U.S. cities where they swept through neighborhoods and clashed with residents. While federal agents this year conducted some high-profile raids on businesses, they largely avoided raiding farms, factories, and other businesses that are economically important but known to employ immigrants without illegal status. Okay, it says the ice cream and Border Patrol will get 170 billion in additional funds through September 2029, a huge surge of funding over their existing annual budgets of about 19 billion after the Republican-controlled Congress passed a massive spending package in July. Okay, so man, they willing to bring out 170 billion all the way onto, you know, September 2029, unless they meant to put 2026. All right, but that's what it says here, 2029. So it seems like they want to expand that throughout the next 3 years. All right, coming into 2026. You see, and time's been flying. So, you know, Lord willing, this shit is all over in 2026. All right, but we might, you know, if we have to go into 2027, you know, the times are just gonna fly even more, man. Okay, which I doubt we go into 2027. All right, but we on the Lord's time at the end of the day, you see. But it's showing you that he wants to go even more aggressive than he did this year, you see. So it's going, the squeeze is going to tighten up, man. All right, and it's going to be a lot of sad faces again. All right, a lot of, you know, people getting ripped from their families. All right, and this is all part of, you know, Jacob's trouble. All right, as a matter of fact, let's grab that precept. Shalom Malak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. This is Jeremiah. All right, Jeremiah 30 and 4, right? This is and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Okay. Ask ye now and see whether a man does travail with child. All right. Wow. Wherefore do I see every man with his loins on with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Okay. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right, let's grab it in the NLT, right? Verse 5, it says, this is what the Lord Yahweh says, I hear cries of fear, there is terror and no peace. Now let me ask you a question. Do men give birth to babies? Then why do they stand there shamefaced, hands pressed against their sides like a woman in labor? In all history, there has never been such a time of terror. See, we're about to enter into a time of terror. It will be a time of trouble for my people Israel, yet in the end, they will be saved. All right. And those that are going to be saved is going to be the elect, the 33.3, one out of every 3 Israelites that are going to be saved, that believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, that take heed to this word. Okay, so we're about to enter into more times of terror. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of sad faces, man, as the scriptures say. All right, all that laughing is going to turn into tears. Okay, all that scoffing is going to stop. All these people that thought they got by and didn't get arrested with these ice cream agents this time around. All right, you might be the one that's next. You might be still on the list. You see, you just got lucky because the Lord was giving you mercy, trying to have you to return back to him. All right, but let's see if you learned the lesson. Let's see if you actually hearkened on to his word and hearkened on to his signs. Okay, so going back, it says administration officials say they plan to hire thousands more agents, open new detention centers. You see, now they got more FEMA camps ready for you, pick up more immigrants in local jails, and partner with outside companies to track down people without legal status, man. And see, they're gonna join with these outside companies. All right, and that's pretty much why you see a lot of people acting as if they're agents. You're gonna have people that are gonna still be posing as agents, and they're not even agents. They just kidnappers. They're trying to find ways to ravish these women. All right, see, we in dangerous times. That's why the Lord said, be circumspect, right? Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. We are in evil times, man. Okay. You're gonna have now more of the police departments, joining these ICE agents. All right, you're gonna have the military gonna be backing them up at the same time. Okay, this is why they have all these martial law troops scattered in these different states. Okay, and ultimately it's gonna be for martial law. All right, but they're going to be used in the same process, man. Because remember, your own soldiers here on America's soil is going to be turning against you. Okay, it says the expanded deportation plans come despite growing signs of political backlash ahead of next year's midterm elections. Miami, one of the cities most affected by Trump's crackdown because of its large immigration population, elected its first Democratic mayor in nearly 3 decades last week. In what the mayor-elect said was, in part of reaction to the president, other local elections and polling have suggested rising concern among voters wary of aggressive immigration tactics. People are beginning to see this is not as an immigration question anymore, as much as it is a violation of rights and violation of due process and militarizing neighborhoods extra constitutionally. You see, a modern said Mike Madrid, a moderate Republican political strategist. There is no question there is a problem for the president and Republicans. You see, it says Trump overall approval rating on immigration policy fell from 50% in March, before he launched crackdowns in several major U.S. cities, to 41% in mid-December for what had been his strongest issue. Rising public unease has focused on masked federal agents using aggressive tactics such as deploying tear gas in residential neighborhoods and detaining U.S. citizens. Numbers will explode. In addition to expanding enforcement actions, Trump has stripped hundreds of thousands of Haitians, Venezuelan, and Afghan immigrants of temporary legal status, expanding the pool of people who could be deported as the president promises to remove 1 million immigrants each year. A goal he almost certainly will miss this year. So far, some 622,000 immigrants have been deported since Trump took office in January. White House border White House border SAR Tom Homan told Reuters Trump have delivered on his promise of a historic deportation operation and removing criminals while shutting down illegal immigration across the United States-Mexico border. Hammond says that the number of arrests will increase sharply as the ice cream agents hires more officers and expands detention capacity with the new funding. And hey, man, they were actually paying, they were paying some insane prices, all right, for those that were becoming ICE agents, man. They were out there talking about that for every person that they get caught up in immigration and they bring back and they, you know, they hound down, they get a good paycheck for that. See? And that's just like at the times of slavery, man, when our people will be running and, you know, catch as many slaves as you can catch and you get paid well for it. You see? So this shit is going to intensify even more. Okay. So let me finish reading because there's a little bit left and then I'll close out. It says, I think you're going to see the numbers explode greatly next year. Hammond said the plans absolutely include more enforcement actions at workplaces. Sarah Pierce, director of social policy at the center-left group Third Way, said U.S. businesses have been reluctant to push back on Trump's immigration crackdown in the past year, but could be prompt to speak up if the focus turns to employers. Pierce said, and remember, he gonna come after even niggas that's straight citizens. Okay, so he could care. It ain't about if you're illegal or not. It's about running down on you jakes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. A lot of you gonna end up in countries that you ain't even supposed to be at, man. You're gonna end up in detention centers, all right, and your ass is gonna be a whole entire, you know, a citizen, all right, until they get shit straightened out, which eventually they always give a thousand excuses of why it's not straightened out. Okay, and if it's gonna get intensified and we're gonna be in crazier times, you might never come home, man. You see, so you have to be prepared for these things. It says Trump, a Republican, recaptured the White House, promising record levels of deportation, saying it was needed after years of high levels of illegal immigration under his Democratic predecessor, Joe Biden. He kicked off a campaign that dispatched federal agents to U.S. cities in search of possible immigration offenders, sparking protests and lawsuits over racial profiling and violent tactics. Some businesses shut down to avoid raids or because of lack of customers. Parents vulnerable to arrest kept their children home from school and had neighbors walk them. Some U.S. citizens started carrying passports. And see, that's another thing. They're going to come after your children too. All right. They already have done that in this year, man. They were going to actual schools and taking kids, and kids were not coming home. You see? So this is the trouble that's going to come upon you, Jakes, man. All right. It says, despite the focus on criminals in the public statements, government data shows that the Trump administration has been arresting more people who have not been charged with any crimes beyond their alleged immigration violations than previous administrations. Some 41% of roughly 54,000 people arrested by the ice cream agents and detained by late November had no criminal record beyond a suspected immigration violation, agency figures show. In the first few weeks in January before Trump took office, just 6% of those arrested and detained by ICE were not facing charges for other crimes or previously convicted. You see, 41% of them were not convicted felons, man, showing that the Lord ain't playing with y'all no more. Even, you know, people that are hardworking citizens are being snatched up and taken away. You see, and this is what you get. This is what happens when you worship other gods and make sacrifices unto devils. The Lord puts you into the hands of your enemies, you see, and it's going to get worse and worse. Okay. You're going to start seeing a lot of these people disappearing and never coming back. You're going to see a lot of these people being unalived. Okay. Because this devil wants to, you know, bring in an agenda of great depopulation. Okay. So it says, let me finish it up now. It says the Trump administration has taken aim at legal immigrants as well. Agents have arrested spouses of U.S. citizens as their green card interviews pulled people from certain countries out of naturalization ceremonies moments before they were to become citizens, and revoked thousands of students' visas. Plans to target employers. This is the last part of it. The administration's planned focus on job sites in the coming year could generate many more arrests and affect the U.S. economy and Republican-leaning business owners. Replacing immigrants arrested during workplace raids could lead to higher labor costs, undermining Trump's fight against inflation, which analysts expect to be a major issue in the closely watched November elections, determining control of Congress. Administration officials earlier this year exempted such businesses from enforcement on Trump's orders, then quickly reversed, Reuters reported at the time. Some immigration hardliners have called for more workplace enforcement. Eventually, you're going to have to go after these employers, said Jessica Vaughan, policy director for the Center for Immigration Studies, which backs lower levels of immigration. When that starts happening, the employers will start cleaning up their acts on their own. You see, and that's pretty much where it ended. All right. So listen, man, at the end of the day, this is why America gonna fall even harder. You see, because now they're just taking away everybody that does the work here in America. Okay. And they could care less because they have a new agenda to bring in, you know, robots. You know, we have this AI technology that's going to take over, you know, America anyway. So, you know, this is why they could care less if they snatching up, you know, people that work hard here in America, because they got things to replace you with, you see. And that's why everything here is going to fail, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you see. So that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to catch up and give the update that more troubles, all right, is coming back around for you Jakes, but more intense, okay? And you're not going to be able to stop the judgment of the Lord, all right? This is bound to happen, you know, and you can see that every year we're going through more and more tribulations, man. You see, it's getting harder and harder for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans here at Babylon the Great, man, all right? Showing you that this is not your rest, okay? As Micah 2:10 says, arise and depart, all right? For this is not your rest. It is polluted. It will destroy you with a sword of destruction. So you niggas want to get comfortable here and want to keep following after your oppressor, all right? And that has been your confusion this whole entire time. Okay, let me just grab that and end it with that. This is Isaiah 30. And I'll grab it from 9, right? It says that, let's take it from 8. Now go write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord Yahweh, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits, right? It says, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. You see? So, hey man, you niggas think this is that what the prophets say is a joke. All right, but here it is. We've been prophesying the same broken record over and over and over again, year after year. And every year it gets worse and worse. And the things that we say come to pass more and more, you see. So there's no escaping the Lord's judgment, man. It's just going to get more intensified in these last days, man. Okay. And, you know, again, 2026 is going to be real heavy on the crackdown of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. It's going to get intensified in these FEMA camps. It's going to be intensified in these prisons, all right? And these prisons and FEMA camps have been built for you niggas that don't want to learn the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, all right? And a lot of them, all right, is going to also be made for these prophets, these false prophets that know the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, but want to go out there and play with the word of the Lord, man. Those are going to be going through a lot of torture in these last days as the brothers, you know, is starting to, you know, bring out 2026's slogan, you know, the year of apostates and you know, false prophets, man, and sellouts. All right. So, hey, man, this is going to be coming to you niggas. All right. I keep playing with the word of the Lord. This is why you got to repent. All right. So with that being said, Lord willing, you were edified. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah.